Hello, hi everyone. I'm Rat. I'm the VP of Supply Chain and Master Data at Flaconi. Thank you for joining me. I will be talking about supply chain resilience mainly in the beauty world, how we can really balance the innovation and efficiencies. A brief introduction about myself. Before joining Flaconi 2 years ago, I have over a decade of experience to work across fashion, home, luxury, and value segment. So some of the known brands that I have managed for the global operations are Lacoste, Swarovski, then Michael Kors, Tory Burch, Marks and Spencer, Toys R Us. And also from the hardware side, I have managed IKEA, Ace Hardware, and multiple other segments. So when I joined Flaconi as a beauty business, I thought this must be a very, a kind of simpler business to manage because of less seasonality. But let's see what are the real challenges in this business and how in last 2 years we have done some tremendous work, which is evident from the result. So before going into detail, I'm sure some of you might not know what Flaconi is. So this is a short video as the introduction of Flaconi. So in one word, if I have to put what is Flaconi, we are the largest beauty online pure player in Europe. We are currently in four countries, mainly Germany being our biggest market. Then we have Austria, we have Poland, and then we have France. And next year we'll be launching Switzerland and two more countries. So let's just spend some 50, 60 seconds to know much about what we do and who are we. All right, so I believe this short video would have given you a brief about who Flaconi is and what we do, right? As you can see from the last tag, we are ambitious to be number one online beauty player in Europe, right? And when we have such a big commitment, that comes with a kind of sort of challenges, and we work day in day out to ensure that we mitigate those challenges. And from supply chain side, I'll be talking about few of those challenges. As I said, after working in multiple businesses, I thought beauty is the most, simpler business to tackle, but that's not true. Which is also evident from the fact that big brand, big houses are selling their beauty businesses. COVID have taught a lot of businesses about how to be truly resilient. And in fact, many businesses have bounced back, many supply chain have recovered, but not the same case in beauty. Beauty is one of those segment of businesses which have not completely recovered because of the fact that beauty business is highly uncertain and volatile. And I'm sure if you're having conversation with your spouse, your daughter, your girlfriend, you would have heard about so many different things about beauty businesses, right? Consumer preference changes every week, in fact, every day. The brand gets launched, maybe 1,000+ brand every day, and many survive, many don't. So it is very, very important in a beauty segment that we really take care of this. As you can see from some of the data, right? Farfetch is selling their beauty brand, right? Many big conglomerate are selling their beauty brand. Even the supply chain is not so robust across the end-to-end ecosystem. So let me just tell you that why beauty has so much of uncertainty and why embracing disruption is a new normal in the beauty world. So if you see, if you really want to solve this uncertainty, then we have to ensure that supply chain is not just treated in silos as a cost center. And why I say so? Because a typical supply chain of a normal world look like you had to take care of your supply, production, distribution, network, and then ultimately, your warehouse, logistic and last mile. And here, if you think about efficiency, what do you think? You think about reducing cost. You mainly work in improvising the distribution network or improving your throughput or pick pack throughput or reducing your cost. But if your entire ecosystem, which is end to end, is not optimized, not aligned, then you might just be doing a firefighting. And that's very much evident from the fact that supply chain cannot really solve the entire disruption issue in silos. And therefore, what we need is we need end-to-end visibility. And therefore, supply chain should not just be given a cost center seat in the board, but rather given an opportunity to add as a value center. When I say value center, that means you are not just taking decision in silo, but you are taking decision in line with the business goal, in line with the business strategy, in line with the commercial strategy, marketing strategy. And why it is important in the beauty business, let me give you an example. As I have shown you earlier, we work with 1,000+ brands. All these brands are premium and luxury segments. So imagine a brand like Chanel, Prada, Lancome, right? All these brands, it is not that just our activity influences the customer demand. Even the brand themselves do their marketing activity, sales activity, promotion activity, campaign activity, branding activity. These activity do have a correlation, do have an influence on the demand. So if we as a supply chain in Flaconi are just thinking about optimizing our own house without taking care of what's happening at their side, it's not going to work. And therefore, I say always that supply chain should have given a bigger responsibility of optimizing the end-to-end value chain. When you start optimizing end-to-end value chain, you don't just think about one small part of the supply chain, but rather you think about what would be the impact of a campaign run by Chanel? What would be the impact if YSL signed somebody as a brand ambassador? What would be the impact of some TV campaign or something by some other brand? And therefore, you take those into account as a part of strategic decision making while designing your supply chain, while handling your supply chain. And of course, as an e-commerce player, we have a lot of data that we capture as a part of customer journey. And hence, it is very, very important that we as a supply chain have a cross-functional collaboration with sales, marketing, assortment, retail media, finance, to ensure that all these factors are taken into account and supply chain is empowered enough to act as a value driver. And when we do so, we are really building a resilient value chain. I don't say supply chain, I say value chain, because when you talk about value, you talk about value for both the players, A, for the business growth, and B, for the customer as well. And for us to be really be able to achieve this, it is important that the end-to-end ecosystem of the value chain is taken into consideration. I will be talking about few use cases that we have done in Flaconi, and then I will tell you, why it is important. So I will be talking about three basic use cases, and I will also present the result of this. We have been working on this from last 2 years, and we have seen some tremendous result of this. The first use case is about how did we really use the dynamic advanced forecasting in a collaboration with a multiple data part, and how that really help us in optimizing the inventory level dynamically. I will also talk about that how difficult it is to work with 1,000+ brand, and how, what are we doing to ensure that this entire collaboration is very smooth. And third, as you know, in the beauty business, right, customer preference changes every day. So a brand which is the top brand today might disappear completely because of one social media post, because of one influencer post. So it is important that these inventory are segmented, and a tailor action is taken every day, not even a week, because if you are left over with a stock which might not sell because of whatever reason, it might stay in your business forever. So let's go to the one part. So, as I said, as you have seen in the previous slide, that the entire supply chain is disrupted across the whole ecosystem. So you have so much of supply uncertainty, but not just that, you also have demand uncertainty, because every day we as a Flaconi post 1,000 plus feed post campaign across the social media channel and across our website as well. Not just that, as I mentioned, even brand do their own promotion, which means these are the one which drives a lot of demand uncertainty. And this demand uncertainty is very difficult to tackle. So if you think about cost center, one might think, okay, let's buy everything so that you reduce the demand uncertainty. But if you buy too much, you will have capital block. You will not be able to sell if that doesn't sell for whatever reason. So it is important to have a dynamic way of handling it. So what are we doing? And what trend we have seen? Because of this demand uncertainty, if I have to measure the forecast accuracy, so usually forecast accuracy is measured as a part of map error. So if I have 0% error, which means whatever I had predicted as a demand forecast, I have sold the same amount. But if I had over forecasted, which means I bought too much but I sold less, which means I will have positive error or I could have negative error if I have done under forecast. In one case, you will have overstock. In other case, you have understock. And as you can see in beauty business, based on our analytics, what we have seen is this kind of error is across the segment, across the fast mover, across the slow mover. So we have as high as 80-90% error in both the horizon, over forecasting as well as under forecasting. And these are not good for the supply chain. And we can only fix this when we have end-to-end collaborative planning as such. At the same time, as I have shown you, we also have seen a high supply uncertainty. Now, one could measure supply uncertainty at two fronts. One could be at the cancel rate, which means if I'm ordering 100 different SKU, I'm getting maybe only 60 or 70 because of the various supply disruption. At the same time, you can also measure in terms of fill rate. So if I'm ordering 100, I'm only getting, let's say, 60 or 70. So we have both the issue at supply side, also at the demand side. And hence, it is very, very important to navigate through this unpredictable demand and supply and have an approach which will really give us a better resilience from the supply chain side. So what we have done a couple of things. As I said, instead of a normal statistical based demand forecast, we move toward consensus forecast. As you know, our demand is highly influenced by multiple factors, influence our internal business target, external business target, commercial plan, supplier plan, a different kind of negotiation, a media campaign. All those different parts are part of the demand influential factor. At the same time, the good part is, we as an e-commerce player have a lot of customer analytics. So we know about, when customer is coming, through which link, where it is clicking, which item he is browsing through, what is his click-through rate, what is the add to cart rate, what he's buying, what he's not buying, what he's looking. So all this information, we don't want to just, capture it and just forget about it, but rather we started using that as a part of the consensus forecast. So now the typical forecast, which was mainly historical driven, is now converted into a forecast which is more tactical driven. So now we know what's happening, what's going well, what's not going well, and we can use this information to make our model more trained. And this model, which is now a consensus forecast, is more accurate. And we have seen a great amount of result. But one could argue that yes, you might be fantastic. You might have a fantastic forecast, consistent forecast, everything. But if your supplier, 1,000 plus brand, don't have their own right forecast, then you might have a right demand, but they don't have right supply, so it might not work. And therefore, from last 1.5 years, we have been collaborating with top 30, top 40 supplier base, top 40 brands, and we have educated and worked together to have their own consensus forecast. So now we have fixed our demand, they will fix their demand, and now we will combine them together as a part of the collaborative plan. And this took us some time. This took us 6-8 months to convince, but finally Now what we see is this integrated external IBP and SNOP have really held a very fantastic result. And as I have shown you the demand forecast earlier, right? So now instead of being just reactive in terms of being a kind of reactive approach, now we have a proactive value chain across the end-to-end 1,000 plus partner and the Flaconi. And the result of that have been phenomenal. A forecast error where you have seen towards both the side of plus minus negative as well as positive forecast biases. Now we are close to very 15-20%. Of course, you can never have 100% forecast accuracy. That's a myth. But still, right, moving from 80-90% to 30-40% is a remarkable achievement. And this that has really helped us in reducing inventory to a greater extent. And now we are rolling it out to our 100 plus supplier, and that have really given a big edge to Flaconi compared to our competitor. In fact, we have also been awarded by our partner who are working with big giant as well about the way we are handling business and the way we are doing this kind of collaborative excellence. The other topic that I said is, as I said, it is not possible that you will have 100% forecast accuracy, right? So you will have some leftover stock. Now, how to manage this stock? As I said, in beauty businesses, the cycle, the preference changes every day, every week. So something which is a top seller might go completely out of the fashion in next 3-4 days, 5 days. So it's a very dynamic kind of culture. So we also drafted a strategy and we have deployed that as well since last 1 year, and we have seen a good result, which I will present, wherein we are running advanced analytics and segmenting inventory every day. So I put a kind of normal human life cycle name about, let's say, every inventory would have a segment of healthy, which means a fantastic, unhealthy, got ill, then dying, which means we have to really take some serious action, and then it's dead. And we are doing this every day. So every inventory goes through one of the cycles, and the moment that inventory is in dying or dead state, it's important to take a fantastic and immediate action. Otherwise, that inventory might stay forever. But the question is how we are doing it. So we are doing it at 3 stages. One is, of course, ABC XYZ classification, where we have a typical dynamic ABC XYZ segmentation based on demand and supply. But also we take into consideration the performance metrics. And this is where we put supply chain performance metrics, which is about stock turn, stock cover, right? GMROI, which I will explain in a bit about how this is a very important factor, right? Out of stock and other KPIs as well. We also combine that with the life cycle. As you know, whenever you launch a new product, it takes some time. So you have a kind of introduction, then it goes into a launch, it picked up, it goes into a growth phase. After a point, you have the peak maturity sales, and then it starts declining. It's important that you understand the phase between maturity and decline and start taking action on that. And that has really helped us in terms of reducing the non-healthy stock. And as you can see, right, so at the moment we have 80 to 90% stock which is healthy, and we have very few segment which is non-healthy, right? And this is only possible because of this tailored dynamic segmentation that we do every day. We also do one more KPI, which is the most important KPI that I think has really proven a fantastic result for us, which is GMROI. So in a simple term, GMROI basically means gross margin return on inventory investment. So that simply means that if I'm investing €1 of my capital on inventory, then how much margin I'm getting. And as a part of the industry standard for a beauty business, GMROI should be 3 or 3.5, which means for every euro we spend, we should be able to at least get 3.5 or 3 as a part of the gross margin, right? And as you can see, if you see on the right hand side, we have GMROI, and on the on the x-axis we have inventory. Then if I have low inventory, which means higher inventory turn and higher GMROI, that's fantastic. If I have too much inventory but that's not yielding a good margin, then that's not a good stock, right? And it is important that we start moving much from this red box to we involve. And that's what we do as a part of every week strategy. So we do demand forecasting as a part of monthly strategy. We do weekly strategy of the assortment rationalization and ensure more on the margin and profitability. And on a daily level, we do kind of inventory segmentation. Now, all these parts have really helped us a lot. And as you can see, as a part of the result of all that I have explained, if you measure any value chain, again, I don't say supply chain, I say value chain, right? If you look at the value chain, that could be measured at three fronts: service, cost, and inventory capital. As I said, all these initiatives have given us 40% reduction in non-healthy stock, which is which is really a big number. And now we are going at 30%. And we could do that without investing additional capital. We could use the same capital by reducing unwanted stock. That has really been kind of remarkable thing. Also, if you look at the out of stock, our out of stock has really decreased a lot. If you see on the bottom, at one point we were 22%, and now we are 4%. In fact, we are lowest in the dark region in the beauty segment. Also, our collaboration with supplier have given us an extra edge, and that is evidence from the fact that we have 59.3% uplift in the fill rate that we get from supplier. In nutshell, we have really been able to achieve a tremendous result through this entire initiative, and I hope that we'll continue to do this great work to ensure that all our partners are happy. And that's why in Flaconi world we say not e-commerce, but it's we-commerce. So we want to ensure that our supplier, we as a business, and our customer, we all are really happy in the entire ecosystem, and we all see value in the business as well. That's it from my side. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining this presentation. I'm happy to take any question you might have. You can also connect me on LinkedIn. I'm sorry I could not join in person, and happy to connect and answer if you have any question as well. Thank you so much.